Welcome to the DTF Printing Podcast. I'm Adrienne Palmer, Editor-in-Chief of DTF Printing. I'm here with Matt Marcotte and Tyler Springer, who are part of the decorated apparel industry development team at Decoflo, who make software solutions for printers. Today we're talking about their new software, Stream, designed specifically for DTF users, and automation in the apparel space. Hey, Matt and Tyler.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. Thanks for joining the DTF Printing Podcast.
Happy to be
Absolutely.
here.
Okay, so many of our listeners are already familiar with Tyler, who is the co-owner of Springer Design from episode 3 of the DTF Printing Podcast. If you haven't listened, be sure to check it out. And you may be familiar with Matt from Printavo and the many different sessions he's led at industry events throughout the years. But today we are here to talk about Stream by Decoflo, which you're calling Rideshare, but for DTF. So give us all the details. What does that mean? What is Stream?
Tyler, take it away.
So Decoflo was originally, we founded it, I think we're at like year 5. And
it's
it was
5 or 6,
pre-COVID.
which is wild. Yeah.
It's pre-COVID. This was when, so I had this, Decoflo was originally the product that we're getting ready to launch, which is now Stream. So 5 or 6 years ago, I had this idea like, hey, it would be really cool to do like a rideshare model, essentially Uber or Lyft, but in the decorating apparel industry with screen printing and embroidery. DTG was just kind of getting big at that time. So it's kind of building it out. And then Matt was actually selling me screen printing supplies at that time. I was like, hey, Matt, let's grab lunch. I want to pitch you an idea. And I want you to, with your experience, shoot holes in it. Like, tell me this is a dumb idea. So we grabbed lunch when he was on, come and selling me screen printing supplies. I took him out to lunch and we kind of talked to it. And he had some questions. He was like, well, what about this? I was like, well, this is why we do it this way. And he's like, oh, well, that makes sense. And then by the end of the lunch meeting, he's like, well, I don't know why the heck no one's done this before, but this is an awesome idea. And I'm like, okay, great, cool. I can't do this alone. Do you have any interest in maybe, teaming up with me? And Matt was like, yeah, why wouldn't I? Because Matt and I already had a good relationship at that point. So fast forward a couple weeks after that, we're talking, we're talking like, okay, we got the idea. Cool. That's one thing, but how do we actually make this happen? And so we started looking like web developers and things like that. And I was like, do you know anybody, Matt? You're in Chicago, I'm in Indiana. Let's tap into each other's networks. And Matt said, you know what? I actually have a guy that I became friends with in the industry. He was an artist at another screen printing company that I sold supplies to. The dude's like a genius, built all these systems and programs for this, small mom and pop screen print company. They didn't want to make changes and, all that stuff. So he's working like as an IT manager at a university. So we did the same thing. We sat down, pitched him, and we're like, do you want to be part of this? And that's our third partner, Dan Paz. So he's our CTO. So Dan, so kind of the 3 hats in the business is I'm the business side, Matt is the operations guy, and Dan is the web developer guru. So we actually founded this company. Decoflo was originally supposed to be this product, Stream. Fast forward, COVID happens, supply chain issues happen. We're like, okay, well, let's pivot. Let's build out some other products. So we actually converted, instead of Decoflo being a product, we had that be the umbrella company. So now Decoflo is building out products. And now Stream is going to be, I believe, our 4th product, third
Product. Yeah. So like I was saying, like I spent years traveling. I've been lucky enough to be in like over 700 print shops physically, which is just insane. The amount of things I learned from the real smart people in those rooms, and I'm able to like kind of take their success, their failures, and like compound that and help another place I get to go. So rewarding. And along the way, the people you get to meet, obviously, not only impact you in that day, but they can also impact you in your life. And Tyler and Dan are two of those people that I was lucky enough to get to work with in different ways. And then now look, it's impacted my life. We've created solutions that I'm proud of, that I think the industry can be proud of. Tyler, just me driving around Indiana when I was working as selling supplies and equipment, and just going into a shop, getting to meet him, helping with cleaning up certain things, processing certain things, and then getting to know him. And then, like you said, Dan, who one of the most intelligent people I know, right? Built a rudimentary screen printing shop management software for the little mom and pop shop he was at. Undervalued, overworked. I think he was almost too, he didn't have enough realization that he was as smart as he was. And so he was just kind of like putting in the grind as he should, right? But also not realizing he could do so much more. And he put himself through masters to get like, I don't even know, coding, whatever. He's just a genius, right? And so he's now able to really be the one to take what Tyler and I come up with and then kind of straighten our way of thought and like, cool, let's talk about this in an actual technology way. Let's break this out. Let's product management and let's get it built out. And so during COVID, we had already been almost 3 years into building this massive, robust thing, right? Like Tyler said, the plan was for screen printing, embroidery, DTG. So it was really a B2B solution at the time, right? It was meant to be like for my print shop that I own, Sound and Fury, right? We outsource our embroidery, right? So I have to like make relationships, do these different things. And they might be like, oh, we're currently a month out. It's like, well, I guess I'll be 5 weeks out. That sucks, right? So the plan was to create this solution where you could kind of tap into different people that would be on the platform, and it wouldn't be like a price bidding war where it's like when you're trying to get like an LTL or a truck where they're like price bidding and you end up with like the crappiest truck for the lowest price. Like, no. It was going to be just it goes out there like Uber, right? You don't get like people being like competing for it, and then all of a sudden like a busted Corolla comes and picks you up, right? It's just a car shows up, a busted Corolla or a Mercedes, but a car shows up, right? So that was kind of the plan, was to build this out. That's a lot of undertaking. It's a big build. And you have to think about all the nuance. I mean, we had multiple full day long whiteboard sessions about like the smallest nuanced things that in a quick elevator pitch, yeah, easy. Not necessarily as easy when you get down into the fine tune adjustments of it. So we kind of hit the spot where COVID and just the weight of this lift, all that work and nothing to show for it quite yet. And so we kind of took the opportunity to like Tyler said, well, let's just make Decoflo the software company. And then from there, we actually took about a month break and created something called Check-in, which is an API-driven receiving solution module for folks that use Printavo. Just because Printavo at the time and still currently does not have a native receiving solution where you can kind of see the quantities, type in what you have it update the status, all that fun stuff. I got Printavo, much to their credit, I asked for approval and they approved it too, right? Got approval to create this solution. And now we're a couple of years in with dozens and dozens and dozens of shops loving it, right? And helping build that. And so that started to kind of reignite the vigor a little bit, right? To actually see, oh my God, like when we actually put our brains together, like all this hard work we've done, we were able to take a smaller, much easier to digest project, get it up, get it out, and actually have it live. A lot of it thanks to the years of hard work we had done already to kind of like understand how this framework would work. And that really reignited everything, right? And so from there, it was kind of back to the grindstone. We released another software called PressFlow that helps with figuring out your time, how long a job should take. If you're using Power Scheduler, Printavo, or using ShopWorks, using ShopBox, whatever you're using to account for how long a job should take. A lot of us had spreadsheets, but again, we got a free solution that you can sign up for that helps. So a lot of fun actually putting these things out wherever any of us find like, man, there's something missing in the industry for this. Yeah. If we can help build it, we're gonna build it, right? And so that's kind of when Decoflo became a software company as opposed to just that initial product. It's been crazy. It's definitely been crazy. And then seeing the
what's been fun about
switch.
It too is like, what's been fun about it, Adrian, is like, I have a medium sized shop. Matt has a small shop, screen print shop. So we're putting out products and testing them internally. And it's like, what can we we're not going to build products that is like, it's not adding a crazy amount of value to us because quite frankly, we're all busy. Everybody in the apparel industry is busy enough, unless it's like fundamental to day-to-day operations. It's a nice to have. It's not a need to have. We're focused on building out need to have products that add a crazy amount of added value to our customers, where it's like, I can't function without these products anymore.
Sure. And I kind of liked what you said about, it's the three of you and you're all in the apparel industry, but your minds maybe work a little bit differently. And there is just so much value of working with people who are smarter than you in maybe the areas that you're not so skilled. So it seems like the three of you have been able to really like hone in exactly all the value that you bring to Decoflo and then really push through, minus COVID and all that's happened.
It's easy for me to find smarter people than me, so that was already not too hard there. But yeah, exactly right. And like getting to, I mean, I think about like walking into the shop and seeing Dan sitting away at a computer in a small office with two other guys, one of which I'm still close friends with. The other one I actually know helped him get the job at the shop he's at too, right? But like I've always been a big proponent of if you want to go far, go together, right? And so it's so rewarding and fulfilling, like knowing like these casual interactions that I had with just good people and like how that compounded to business relationships and friendships. I had a small wedding and these two guys were two of the like 60 I had there. Wouldn't have it any other way, right? So definitely fun getting to grow that. I guess the message there is like more people in this industry nowadays, and Adrian, you definitely know this in this industry too, like you go back 8-9 years, people were a lot more closed off, right? I love, thanks to great people that have helped lead the industry with magazines and podcasts and other social media, and just changing that tune and the dynamic to like, let's work together. Let's make some cool shit, right? Bleep that if you have to. But like do it and do it right. And the openness, the camaraderie, the family this industry is, I think is why we felt the need to do this, to help each other out, help our brothers in ink, our sisters in ink, right? The ones that are in the trenches all day long too. To Tyler's point, we're not going to just waste our time unless it's actually going to be of value, right? And like values in the eye of the beholder, right? Like check-in, we do charge for. Our press flow, we don't charge for. That's a free tool because like the value is we just want to help you. That's the value. The value is knowing that you're getting time-saving, accurate information. And we hope you know that we're going to have more solutions that you might want to come check out in the future, right? So it's not always a value proposition of like, how can we make money? Of course, we're a company, so we are trying to make money. The cool thing is check-in, that money we've made off of that product, we've been able to help put it into Stream to make Stream go. So we're really taking the opportunities to compound this, to keep getting bigger and better, and to help the industry more and more and more. We all have full-time jobs. Tyler owns a couple businesses, I think, right? I own a print shop. I work full-time with a leading software company and have a separate software thing. Dan's got a full-time awesome job working in a government sector, right, at a government college, right, for like IT and all sorts of stuff. So we've all got like awesome full-time jobs that we love, and we're still dedicating hours and hours and hours a week because we just know how much opportunity there is to help this industry. And it's super rewarding.
I think the other big key there is that you're in the apparel industry. Like you said, like you know what is needed. And I think it's really important, like you're really trying to give back and help people automate and streamline their solutions and make things easier. And it's not like just a want, like you said, Tyler, it's a need in this industry. So let's get into Stream. What does the process look like?
Well, first, let's take a second and figure out how we got to these other products, and then taking the big build we initially had of all these different things and making it just DTF. I think you were there. It was the Atlanta trade show last year. I don't know
Printing
if you were
United.
there, Rich. I think you were there. Yeah, Printing United. And obviously DTF had already started to blow up. I had already started to use it in my shop. About a year prior, I had finally seen good DTF for the first time and was like, oh, this is legit. A lot of it's still garbage, and there's a lot of good ones then too, right? So seeing the good ones, it kind of changed my mind. And then when I was at that show, working the show, it was just like every other place was showing DTF. And I had like a a visceral flashback of like the DTG boom. Even when I sold this guy a DTG machine that ended up being a giant paperweight, and I felt like a total schmuck about it, right? Still sorry about that, Tyler. Love you, buddy.
I still bring it up to this day.
Yeah, I sold him the M&R digital, the DTG they made that just like anchor, awful. Anyways, so I was like, man, there's gonna be a lot of people out there that are gonna have DTF machines, and like they think they can just like print money. They forget there's a business side. They have to actually generate sales. And that's when I kind of had the like, oh, I'm an idiot. Like, we have a solution. And so kind of chatted about it, and Tyler had already super mass adopted DTF in his print shop. So much to the spot that he actually didn't have to use one of his automatic presses as much. And so he sold it to me. Thanks for that too. Also, Tyler, see, great guy. So he'd already mass adopted it. And to him, he was like, yes, absolutely. So we had this massive, massive build that we were still struggling to finish because of how many pieces there were. And then we kind of looked at it and we're like, but if we're just going to do DTF, like that can go, that can go, that can go. This gets a little easier. That can go, that can go. And so we ended up looking at it and going, well, we're actually pretty close now because all these extra factors were taken out. Very complex factors, right? Screen separations, digitized files, like a lot of hard factors and variables. So we then, of course, it wasn't built for DTF. So we've been spending all this time now with a lot of those core components already done, streamlining it, pun kind of intended, to help get it ready for actual stream launch. So that's kind of how we got to creating it for the DTF world. How it works, I'll let Tyler take away from there.
And real quick, I thought at Printing United, we launched DTF Printing, previously DTF.com, the night before Printing United, and walking the apparel decoration section of that, trade show, I thought, am I just biased because I just launched this? Or, people are obviously going to just be talking to me about DTF, or is that all that people are talking about? And it seemed like that was the first show that I thought, wow, this is really taking over. The quality is better, new technology, bigger names are coming out with related technology and equipment. And it was like, okay, yeah, this is here and this is a good thing. So I'm glad that I wasn't just alone in that thought.
Oh, it was anybody who had their eyes open. It was so obvious. And anybody who still is like, meh, DTF, get ready to get run over. Like it's not the DTG boom. It's legitimate and impressive.
Yeah, I think Tyler called it the type that if you buy a DTG printer, it's like buying a typewriter. He said that on the podcast episode that we had and got a little feedback online about that. But I believe you stand strong in that sentiment, especially with what you're calling it, Matt, paperweight. So typewriter, paperweight.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everyone's going to have their opinions. That's my personal one. I'll stand by it. But to piggyback on what both you guys are saying is, so the timing's everything on this, right? If we would have launched Stream a year or two ago, the technology was still coming up, right? So we feel very confident now moving forward, and the technology is going to keep getting better and better and better, and the equipment's going to get better and better. The quality, like both of you guys have seen at the trade shows, they're insane, and they're going to keep going. More eyes, more money, more everything's shifting towards DTF. So we're really excited about not only the product, we're excited about the timing of the industry and where we are at this point, in 2024. In terms of how Stream works, if you've ever used Uber or Lyft or any rideshare, think of it the same way. So you're just going to so if you are the user on it, it's very easy. You're going to just put in some information, upload your design. You're going to say, hey, I want the DTF prints shipped into this zip code, and I want it within a radius of this area, just like you would, putting in your address for an Uber. You put in your information, your credit card information that shows you what that cost is going to be, and then you check out. Right? If you are a decorator on Stream, same thing, just like being a driver, right? You're going to get an automatic ping like, hey, you have a job. If you qualify it based on specifications and if you qualify to be able to print that job, based on the onboarding process. Just like if you're signing up to be a driver for Uber or Lyft, if you have 4 or 5 seats, same thing. There's different qualifications to be able to do it. But if you qualify, you're going to get pinged to accept that job. You accept the job, you're going to get the files, you're printing, you're shipping. And here's the coolest thing about Stream. If you're a decorator, as soon as that gets scanned by UPS, guess what? You're not getting paid 30, 60, 90 days like a regular contract shop. Once that gets scanned with UPS, our API for that starts the process of releasing those funds. So you want to talk about, hey, my shop's slow. It's January. I don't have any work. I'm going to send my guys home. Well, sign up for Stream if you're a printer, right? If you have the technology to be able to start printing DTFs, say, hey, let's start, filling our production schedule back again. How cool is that you're going to be able to generate another revenue source via Stream, just like, the Uber and Lyft drivers. Is it going to take over your, day-to-day, core business? No, but if you want to subsidize it, just like that, how many guys are Uber drivers full time? Well, some are, but not all of them, right? It's like, hey, I want some side money. I want some hustling money, all that stuff. So it just it levels the playing field and it opens it up for everybody. And we just love the ability where it's like, okay, because right now, if you're in the DTF space, you probably have 1 or 2 DTF printers that you use, and you're like, okay, this is just who we use when we need a DTF order, we're sending them here. Well, that totally takes away from this now. Now it's like, I just want, because the technology is rising, right? Like what we were talking about before, I just want the DTFs and I want it quick, right? And I want it at this location on this date. You get to pick the day that you want it, shipped by. That's really where the value add comes in for the consumer, where it's like, I don't really care that it's at this company. I just want it good quality, good turnaround time, and it's going to get here when you see it's going to get here, right? So as long as those things are getting met, and the cool thing, just like the ride shares, you're going to be able to do a 5-star rating on both the decorator and the wholesaler. So you can see, like, no, I'm not getting in the car with that guy that has 1 star. Was the same thing as with Stream, right? That is the accountability aspect for both the decorators and the wholesalers. So we're
I
super
was
excited.
curious about the verification process, if there was a review process, because as you mentioned with Uber or Lyft, you are just sent out to anyone and the driver can accept, and then they, but you have that opportunity to say, no, he's got a 2-star rating or she's got a 1-star rating or whatever, and you can request someone else, or if they end up being too far away. But so it's nice that there's that review process. What does that look like for both parties? They review once it's over, and how are you going to start that kind of from the ground up?
Yeah, out of the gate, it's part of it, right? So as soon as the job's done, both parties will be prompted to review each other, right? And so it'll be a basic 5-star review, a couple questions, they'll be able to answer that. As we begin, we're going to, of course, be able to put eyes on every single one of those and make sure they're legitimate, just like early days of how Uber had to do the stuff too. And then obviously, let's talk about the worst case scenario, right? If Uber sends somebody and then they get kidnapped, right? Well, then Uber's getting involved, right? It's not just like give them a 1-star, sorry that happened, crime, right? So they're actually going to get involved. Same thing's going to happen here. Like if there's a legitimate issue, we're going to get involved. We're going to make it right. We're going to take care of you because end of the day, we're there to help the industry, right? So there is going to be eyes on this. We're expecting to grow pretty rapidly and have people dedicated to those positions as well to really help make sure the onboarding is taken care of, any disputes are taken care of. And part of this too is Tyler mentioned that not everyone's going to be able to like subsidize their entire workload this way. However, I've been able to travel a lot of this country, and I'll tell you what, I go to some small towns where the same guy's my Uber driver morning, noon, and night a couple days in a row because there ain't nobody else over there. So he can go full time doing Uber for the like 4 people that come to town each week, right? So the same thing can apply here, right? The way this is going to work is that as soon as the user goes ahead and purchases their DTF, it's going to open up to a specific open area of a region based off where it has to ship to, right? it'll have a decaying factor of every so long. It's going to actually open that up to make sure it gets in the hands of somebody to do the job. We're already working with a couple of the big guys to help be the safety net, especially as we're dealing with it being a new process, right? So as people are maybe coming on board, if we hit a spot where there's more riders than drivers, what do? Right? Well, in that instance, I'll be able to leverage my partnerships, some of the bigger guys in the industry, to help kind of be like the helicopter that sweeps in when you don't have an Uber driver to show up for that specific job, right? But really, the plan here is, think of it like you're supporting a local network, right? We're all doers. We're all makers. We love this industry and we like support small business. That is the heart of this. I mean, no disrespect to those big players. I respect them massively. I'm friends with a handful of them. I love what they're doing, and I think there's enough work for everybody. I also think it's important to help support your local market. I think it's important to help support other small businesses, what this country is really based off of, right? The ability to like make something better for yourself and work together. And I think this gives an opportunity to support a lot of those people that are joining the industry, are getting into DTF. And this is a great way to say, hey, instead of going to this place or this place, why don't I try to hit somebody locally and help support those businesses at the same time, right? And I think there's enough work to go across the board. And I think this is going to really give more opportunity to a lot more people and avoid it being what the DTG was, which was just a pivot up and then a total crash down. I think this is really the wave of the future and creating opportunity for people.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, supporting local businesses and supporting the DTF community when it's still so much in its infancy is vital to its success. And it just kind of reminds me, and you mentioned this a little bit in your intro video on the website, that this seems to be a solution, to get away from the Facebook groups, which can be met with risk and spam and just a lot. I guess talk a little bit about that. And then at the end of the day, do you see any value in the Facebook groups, or are you kind of really just trying to take everyone away from that and use the system?
I'll start, then I'll hand it over to you, Tyler, because I think we've got maybe differing opinions. I can't stand Facebook. It is just a swirling pool of garbage. Unfortunately, good things and good people get stuck in that chaos and they get sucked into that garbage. It's not all garbage. There's definitely pearls of wisdom and amazing people that are in there. However, to me, it's a blind rage zone where people like, you go on Facebook, you ask a question, you're going to get belittled by 8 people before you start to get a nugget of answer. And that is just disgusting and says a lot, unfortunately, about who we are as people. And so I don't like to play in the mud. I'm going to stay out of it personally. There's a lot of value people going in there to clean the mud up. And if more people had the ability to go do that, it might be savable. I'm not that person. I know who I am. I'm just not that person. I'm not going to go to the mud and clean it up. They can play. So for me, I like to create more direct solutions, right? So although, yes, you can go to these Facebook forums, and again, there are plenty of pearls of knowledge and good people in there, right? And you can go start to ask, hey, who can do this job? And then you'll get a handful of people saying, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. And they're going to start to price bid, and ends up what we have now, which is a race to the bottom, right? Because they're just going to like, well, I want it, well, I want it, well, I want it. A race to the bottom is a problem we're already trying to combat in the industry. Accelerating that with a new technology, it's not the solution. So what I like about this solution is it's not a race to the bottom. It is set prices that we're going to control. The majority of the money is absolutely going to, just like the Uber rider, like the driver gets almost all the money. There's a chunk that, of course, Uber keeps. Same thing's going to apply. It's really to help the people. It's a direct solution. It's not a price race to the bottom. Just to further go into, without cross-promoting too much, this is why I built Screen for GPT as well, because I hate the idea of having to go to Facebook to get belittled before you get an answer that still has bias and judgment, right? So for me personally, just not a fan of those. DM somebody you look up to, go to their shop and visit them and ask them questions, watch the podcasts, talk to them directly. Those are the ways that I'd rather go, or go to these solutions that are a little bit safer environments. That's just my PSA. Tyler, what are your thoughts there though?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a place for everything, right? But what are you valuing your time, right? So if I have a question on who in, the Northeast can print DTFs and get them there by Thursday, I can go on and post that, right? And then I'm going to get 150 responses with links to their own websites. And it's, and all the pricing's different. All the turnaround time's different. Some are hot peel, some are cold peel. So it's a total crapshoot, right? We're standardizing that, and we're the filtering process, right? With the review, with the 5-star reviews for both the decorators and wholesalers. So do you want to comb through 150 responses and try to find that diamond in the rough? You can, that's fine. Or do you want to, go on stream and be able to let us do that filtering process for you? So it's, I'm not going to totally say, no matter what you do, never go on Facebook. It's just, what are you valuing in your time? I'd rather just be able to upload this and be able to focus on how do I keep landing more sales, as opposed to going through it and trying to piece through, read the tea leaves through these forums.
Right. And Matt, I do want to talk about Screen Print GPT at some point. So we'll get to that, because I do think that is important to this entire conversation. But let's talk about price a little bit. How does that work? Are you pricing those jobs out as like a standardized pricing? Okay. So it's not something, there's still not necessarily a internal bidding war. This is what it costs for this product and this date.
Yep, exactly right. When Uber sends you over, you're not like, well, how about you do it for a couple bucks cheaper, and you get a back and forth, right? So out of the gate, and this is all going to grow and expand as we grow and expand, which we expect to be decently rapidly, right? So out of the gate, yes, we're going to have set prices for different territories as well, right? If you get an Uber in downtown Chicago or Manhattan versus you get one in Alabama, right? There's a little bit of a different price based off of some important information, right? So as we expand and grow, we are likely going to be adopting some of that kind of modeling as well, where different territories might have slightly altered prices to better fit the local market for them and not be charging small town Kansas, Manhattan prices, because you just can't, right? It's not fair to anybody in that instance either. So we will continuously grow out the pricing structure, but no, it's not a bidding war. It's the user that's purchasing them has to agree to it and pay it right then. And then, like Tyler said, one of the most important, crucial parts is that once the decorator has actually got that scanned by UPS as outbound, we start the process of releasing those funds, giving you capital right away, as opposed to making you wait for any of that money that you're looking to cover your. You might have a slow month and like you're trying to cover payroll. Go ahead and join up, knock a couple of jobs out, and you can help with payroll, right? So the pricing will be controlled by us. We will grow that out. We will have kind of models that adjust based off of seasonality, location, things like that.
Will you have surge pricing?
Well, Wendy's just tried that and it didn't go well. Based off of Wendy's failure, but Uber's success, look, right now we've not discussed surge pricing as something that's an intention. You don't know what you don't know, so I'm not going to like unequivocally give an answer. But right now what we're looking to really do is we're looking to have a very fair market value that assures that everyone feels good about what they're paying for and the work that they're doing. And so that's really our golden arrow right now, where we're trying to focus on. We'll take it from there as we hear the demand from all the great users.
Yeah, I'm willing to pay a surge price if, for example, I'm leaving Printing United in Las Vegas or Atlanta and everyone is also leaving and there are only 2 rideshare options or 3 to get me back to my hotel. I'm not really going to pay for that at Wendy's when there's also McDonald's and Chick-fil-A and et cetera, et cetera.
I was shocked when they said it. I'm like, your nuggets are good, but they're not that good, Wendy's. Lay off a little bit. Yeah, they fail.
Yeah, well, they already took it away. So yeah, it's not it's not working out for them. But okay, so price for the user. I'm guessing this is a software as a subscription. Are they paying monthly? What does that look like for them? Obviously, you're trying to make money, and you're going to be taking a little bit of that profit. Explain that.
Yep. There's no price. It's a free until you're using it. There's no cost. So you can sign up. Just again, think of it as an Uber or Lyft, right? Rideshare for the decorated apparel industry. So you can get on and be like, no, I don't want to do that. There's no cost to it. But if you process the order and you want to open it up to the stream, yeah, you put your credit card in and pay for that. And then that ship is sailed. It is going through the process and you're going to get DTFs. So yeah, there's no monthly fees. There's no whatever. At some point we might play around with some, kind of what Amazon did with like Prime features. But again, we're in infancy right now. We're not worried about that right now. What we're laser focused on is adding a crazy amount of value to our industry with this platform. And we're wanting feedback. We're going to be making quick iterations to this. We want as many users as we can use on this and kind of see what the market allows and what the market shapes. And we're eyes open and ears for listening for it.
That's awesome. Listeners, if you did not hear that, free, 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 and a way to
pay for the job. That's it.
Yep. Right. No,
we're not trying to lock
awesome.
you with a monthly. We're like, you got to pay up and then decide how you like it and qualify it. None of that stuff. Jump in, join in, throw a job in, get it back, rate them, come back if you had a great experience. Let us know something we could have done better, and just keep on going. And for the decorators, when they sign up, they're going to have a couple more hoops to jump through as a decorator because they have to make sure they can receive money, right? So to sign up to receive the money, they got to do a couple more things than the user does. It's just going to go in their purchase, but it's still a couple minute onboarding process, and they're still not financially invested in that at all. It's as they do the work, they get paid. And just like Uber takes a little bit off the top of those, that's how we're going to also make money. We're not trying to spike these prices to make them unreasonable. We're also not trying to take more than the fair share when the work is being done by the other two parties. We've just built the infrastructure to support it, and we're going to continue to support it. We need to, of course, support our infrastructure for it. But it's very, very transparent. There's no hidden fees, none of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Okay, so by the time this podcast airs, the closed beta will have started, probably just out for a week. Right now, how many people are signed up? What are you looking for in terms of feedback? How long will that closed beta be open for?
So we got about 20, I think, on there. Is that right, Tyler?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we got a good group, and it's a lot of people that we have relationships with already. So we're going to be able to get some good candid feedback. That's what we want, to be able to make some early iterations. So when we go to full open beta, we're already on 2.0 of this, and that we can really hit this nationally and get some, hey, let's start processing thousands of jobs, through this. And then so on and so forth. So we're super excited. Like Matt said, we're expecting rapid growth on this. So we're actually probably launching this later than we originally thought. And I'm sure a lot of the people that would sign up for closed beta were like, I thought this was going to be out, a month or two ago, but we're really trying to cross some T's and dot some I's. So the version 1.0 is actually pretty hefty in terms of features.
Yeah, we've been internally alpha testing. I own a print shop, Tyler owns a print shop. So we've been literally sending things back and forth, like pretending to be the user, pretending to be the decorator, testing out all the things, the financials, how it releases, all that stuff. When you're working in a sandbox, it's one thing, right? When you're on dev accounts versus actually using the live accounts. So the question you had about when will public beta happen, our expectation is pretty quickly after the closed beta finishes. How long that closed beta go kind of depends on the feedback we get from those users that are in that closed beta. We believe we've done more than our due diligence of really looking at it analytically, process-wise. And although we know there's some things we're like, well, we can make that better. We're just looking to get it in the hands of everybody first. We know it works, right? Because we're going to get hung up on something that maybe users will be like, yeah, we don't care about that. This is what we care about, right? So being able to get that feedback, and like Tyler said, we're going to have Dan and all of us kind of hyper iterate as we go, and we're still agile. It's still in the building blocks. It's in the infancy. So we're able to kind of make a lot of changes pretty quickly. So if by the time this airs, like you had said, the initial closed beta will have already been probably about a week in. A couple more weeks, and we should be able to go into a public beta. We're really looking forward to getting this out into the wild as soon as possible.
And where can everyone go to sign up for that public beta, or even just to learn more information?
Tyler?
That will probably be changing by the time, the time this airs. So we'll make sure we get you the link.
They can still just go to dtf.stream. Either way, it'll actually work. Right now, you're going to be able to sign up for the wait list, which please do, right? Please sign up for the wait list, because the minute it goes into beta, and we might be able to actually sneak into a last minute close beta potentially. But you can still go to dtf.stream. And you can sign up. You can watch some video. I've got some more content coming out. You can learn a little bit more about it there. So DTF.stream either way. If it's been a couple weeks since this is aired and you go there, it might just be a join and start using. Otherwise, it's very clear that it'll be a sign up and join the waitlist portion on there for now.
Sweet. All right. So Tyler, I already said this, that, you said buying a DTG printer is like buying a typewriter. You're standing on that. It's obviously, your opinion, plenty of opinions in this industry about a lot of different things, but I'm curious if you have any DTF updates from your shop.
Yeah. So like Matt said, we've really leaned in hard on my shop to DTF printing because, again, the quality is going through there with the finished work, with different substrates to do a final press on. It is getting hard to tell the difference between a screen print and a DTF print. And we expect that margin to get narrower as, time goes on. We've really pivoted a lot towards e-commerce solutions for like medium to large size corporations. School fundraisers, that kind of things. Like we're running a lot of fundraisers right now. In Q1 we ran a ton, but we're doing that through DTF printing, because if not, it's such a bear to be like, okay, well, this one gets this one gets this one, and you're just doing these onesie twosie orders. It's just not financially makes sense to be able to set up, a 10-14 color press up to run, 5 pieces. So we're just really leaning into the e-commerce side, the platforms, our internal workflows, being like, okay, hey, this corporate account, we're going to set up an online store for them. We're actually going to pre-order all the DTFs for their stuff, and we're going to inventory them. So once they start ordering, like we're not wasting any time. So we're getting things out, within 24, 48, 72 hour turnaround time. And it doesn't matter if it's full color, single color, whatever. We're just super leaned into that. And we've had such a great response from our customers because, again, like what we talked about Stream's doing, it's adding a crazy amount of value to these places. Because most of our companies, what we're finding out is like, as much as we all love the merchandise side, right? Because this is the space we're in. And the companies, the merch is the pain in the butt. Like that's what they've gotten handed off to be like, you go figure out, go get sizes for people, hey, somebody said they want hats. Somebody said they want mugs. The branded merchandise part is like the big pain in the butt. That's actually not what they're getting paid to do. They're getting paid to do something else. And they've just gotten this sent over to this. So anytime we're able to add value, which through the e-commerce platforms or whatever, it's well received because it's like, oh, great. Now I can take this from a 10-hour-a-week job, part of my job, to 30 minutes, and I don't have to mess with it. And I can focus on what I'm actually getting paid to do. And at the same time, with the technology of DTF, we're able to fill those promises of like quick turnaround times, high quality. It's awesome. So it's good for everybody.
Right. Well, that's great to hear. Matt, are you using DTF in some way at your shop?
Oh,
outsourcing.
Tons. We send out for getting the DTFs in, but at this point, if it's more than one color and under 24 units, which we get a lot of, like I need 12, I need 15, I need 24, it's only DTF, and we're not even like explaining it to the customer, and we're charging 3-color screen printing prices, what we've defaulted to charging for DTF, which are making massive profit margin. And then what we're able to do is my business partner is able to stay on the press And then we've got a high school kid, our buddy's kid, that is able to come in and he just handles the heat pressing portion of all the DTF, right? So a lower paid, lower qualified, still in high school, so technically a little bit lower IQ, just able to go over there and heat press, and they're perfect. And he's doing complex stuff, and they're perfect. Now, we're, of course, making sure that we're tweaking the artwork. We're allowing for negative space. We're smart with, like Tyler mentioned, we're not using Teflon sheets at the end. We're actually using different fabric swatches to get different effects, right? Don't use your Teflon. So different ways to achieve a softer print. We're not just trying to make a giant box and then heat press it, because guess what? A screen print of a giant box also feels like trash, right? So planning around for it, but the opportunity that it gives you is so much better, right? We're also running a special right now at my print shop where it's a crazy good price for a left chest and a full back and a QR code sleeve. It's meant for like contractors and electricians and like if you have small business people out in the field, and the pricing is super aggressive and you get a lot of different options on shirts. It's because we're going to be doing all of it DTF, all of it, right? And so we can just have a lower cost good to sell to a lot more people. We can have lower cost to actually achieve it in the house while we're still doing the higher cost stuff with screen printing, compounding things. It's having a tool in your toolbox, right? You got to have the right tool for the right job. And not offering DTF is like just saying we're going to use a sledgehammer when we have to hit this little pin over here, right? So using the right tool to achieve the outcome you need with the lowest amount of impact to get it done, right? Getting a couple more heat presses and teaching people how to do this, I mean, that's a lot simpler than trying to teach somebody how to screen print.
Yeah, absolutely. And even just on the consumer side, like for me, for example, I've hosted many a bachelorette party in my day. And, you know, you got 10 girls needing shirts. My dad's a graphic designer. So I'll be like, hey, Dad, can you design this shirt? And then he would literally just with an iron on the transfer to on a shirt that, you know, maybe we'll never wear again, whatever. I'm hosting a bachelorette party coming up. I had my dad design the shirt and he goes, well, you're going to DTF this, right? It's like, absolutely. For 8 people. And it's a multicolored shirt. And I don't have to go, you know, I don't have to have him iron that on. And I don't have to go to, you know, some major corporation website where the quality isn't going to be that great. So it's like from the consumer side too, the quality is there, the minimum order quantity, you know, that's changed. And it's just like, and the turnaround time to print
also,
and transfer.
Weeding vinyl. Like we do a lot of names and numbers still. And like the numbers, I'll admit we still just have like those boxes of like all the numbers in a couple different sizes. We just knock those out, right? But we'll screen print the front of the press. We'll do the vinyl numbers, and then we'll just DTF the name, right? Because we don't have to weed anymore. We just don't have to weed. It's done. We just cut it up. It's about the same price that vinyl would have cost, right? But less labor, and we can usually order a couple extra of each name because undoubtedly a parent's like, hey, can I get one? It's like, luckily we have your last name still. Here you go, right? So it's just much, much easier. And then you can also be like, hey, do you want it to be like a rainbow color of assortments for the last name as opposed to just that one? You can do numbers with it too, but just the offering, it's definitely a big time saver. We do lean into it a lot at the shop. We do a lot of like our own shop designs where I use a lot of AI, so I'll make some cool AI art, then I'll take it into Procreate and I'll like customize it a little bit more, and then I'll throw a store up and be like, hey, I made a design. Someone buy one. Maybe 1 month I'll sell 3, maybe the next month I'll sell 30, right? But whatever I sell, great. I go order DTFs, I bring them in, heat press them, ship them on out. I can be okay with only have sold 3. I'm not like, oh man, I gotta set up 6 screens to print 3 shirts. I lost money. No, I'm just having fun designing cool shit and making shirts out of it. And if people buy them, cool. If not, it's still cool. I love it. It's in my wardrobe. So let's go, right?
Yeah. And you both mentioned how the technology will grow. It will advance. Is there anything that you would like to see in the next couple years in terms of what manufacturers are providing or anything that could make your business, you know, workflow just streamline? I think that's the theme of this podcast. That word might be streamline or automate, but anything, especially just in terms of the technology that you'd like to see advance in the next few years?
I wish somebody would come up with an Uber style thing for DTF where I could just like not necessarily have to rely on like the same 3 people, but just like hit the market. Man, that just sounds like a genius idea. I don't know, Tyler, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I've been waiting for somebody to build that out to make my life a lot easier. So hopefully 3 handsome guys would do that sometime
Man,
relatively
fingers
soon.
crossed. Will you
But
guys let
in
me
all
know?
actuality, yeah, we'll let you know. We could probably talk about it on camera maybe when that happens. But in all actuality, we're already seeing a lot of what my needs were for the industry. A lot of the machines were coming over from overseas, which is great. But then there's a lot of people really playing the middleman in that situation, which again, great. But a lot of times the end user is now dealing with the fact that it was a brand new process. The people that had kind of repurposed the equipment and put different firmware and software on it and different rips on it, they were still kind of learning the equipment too, and then trying to support your individual needs while supporting their business model. It's rough in the early stages. A lot of them have now figured it out and gotten to a better place. So much so that the big guys are all starting to do the same thing. They're starting to bring in overseas equipment and repurpose it and kind of do some things, right? I mean, it's no joke. M&R talks about it. I think they said there's like 37 changes they make to the machine that they get. And more importantly, a lot of these companies, they're getting into actually knowing how to service and support the machine. Amazing, right? And so the ability to go somewhere where you can purchase the equipment, you can have service programs, you can have programs where like if the machine goes down, they can help. Like the technical support and the systems to help people, that's what was missing a year ago. And that's what's starting to really come out, and the community that's starting to build is starting to come out. So I think the natural progression of the growth is already doing the things that we all needed to do. And as more people get into it, more data is available, we'll continue to ebb and flow and grow that out. But I'm really seeing what was missing a year ago, naturally finding its groove, its progression. Obviously, DTF printing kind of helping spearhead a lot of that is a big part of it too, to kind of help create the sustainable ecosystem for all of us to continue to kind of grow in.
Yeah, and there's going to be, in terms of the technology aspect, the support is absolutely huge. That's evident that all these big players are now in the manufacturing space are supporting this stuff now and manufacturing some components stateside. But in terms of DTF, you're already starting to see it a little bit, but some of those specialty effects, like once there starts getting metallics and glitter and glow in the dark, like all that stuff's going to come with DTF at some point. As soon as that stuff comes, it's like that's going to be another game changer. It's like, oh wait, now I don't have to, because I couldn't do those on DTF before, but I had to set those up on the press. So if you're starting to be able to do onesie twosies with the specialty effects, like holy crap, that's going to really change the space.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see that, because I have spoken to some manufacturers and some other people in the industry who are just like, maybe it's just not there yet, but they're really eager. Because on the screen printing side, everyone's kind of gotten to that point and they're pretty happy with those, even though it's like a big learning process and a big learning curve. But yeah, they're really excited for DTF to hit that mark. Okay, so there is the phrase automate or die, which I was recently at the Impressions Atlantic City show, and this was a big topic of conversation. How do you see this fitting in the apparel decoration space?
A lot. I mean, Tyler owns a business. He has a couple different things on his plate throughout the day. I own a business. I co-own this business. I co-own another business. I got a full-time job. I've got a family. Tyler's got a family. Now more than ever, what's expected of somebody in order to make it is the highest it's ever been, right? Some can argue the other side of that, but I just don't think it's there. I think nowadays with technology and opportunity, I think if you can't find a way to make yourself more efficient and more effective with the monotonous things that you have to do throughout the day, you're going to get left behind sooner than later. If you look at the smaller, younger shops that don't know any better, and they're just getting right into spending money on software, right into getting a consultant and building processes, And then 2-3 years later, they've just jumped over all of us, right? It's because they understand leveraging their time and making sure they're getting the most efficiency out of everything that they're doing. I think Stephen Farrig, buddy of mine, I think he's been on here too, right? Or if not, he should be a bunch, right? But he's somebody who really helped me understand that a tech stack is exactly that. It's a stack of technology that is there for a purpose. There's not one solution to do all your hopes and dreams, right? But if you can find a solution that can make anything that you're doing 20, 30, 40% more efficient, well, then what is, and Tom mentioned this earlier, what is your time value? How much can you get done in that time period? And what's your worth, right? So if you're doing these things that you're having to like do over and over and over and over again, why are you doing it that way? There's got to be a better way, right? We've all watched Shark Tank. There's got to be a better way, right? Well, what is that better way? Talk to each other, find out different ways you can automate, look at different processes, watch these podcasts, learn about Stream and DGI Apparel and all these different things, and learn all these different things so you can figure out how to just start to shave off the seconds of things that you're doing. If you're not looking at your processes, looking at ways to get them even slightly improved weekly, daily, right? You're complacent, right? And you're going to be spending more time and more money than you need to be on things, right? Wouldn't you love to be able to give your crew a raise at the end of the year, but you just aren't able to because you don't have the money? Fix your processes, figure out ways to get more done without spending more money and time on it. And then all of a sudden, oh, you've got a little more money at the end of the year, the following year. You can actually give those raises, give those bonuses, help nurture your company, right? We're at a spot where it's only going to continue to compound. The technical term is the singularity, right? Where technology compounds technology until it's such a rapid growth that it's not a long-term like, oh, the invention of the computer, then the internet, and then Facebook, right? It'll literally be going like this, where it's the amount of increases are so rapid that it looks like it's going straight up. That's not far away, right? Some people are saying it within 5 years, AGI, artificial general intelligence, will be out, right? If you're waiting till that happens to start to learn how to be more effective, more efficient, you might be in trouble, right? So start looking at the low-hanging fruits. What can you do to make your day a little bit faster? Can you do a Zapier for something for a little bit of a Google review automation? Can you create like little quick keystrokes to answer emails a little bit faster? Start looking at those small steps, but automate or die does mean that your business needs to learn to automate, or your business might struggle and die. And it's scary if you want it to be. It can also be really motivational if you'll let it be. So it really depends on how you want to look at that and what kind of ownership you want to take on your operation.
So, we're in the United States, the famous quote from one of the founding fathers, give me liberty or give me death. I always say, add value or give me death. And that can really be piggybacked on companies, right? I'll reiterate something you were talking about Stephen Farrig earlier, Matt. Stephen Farrig talks about Kodak moment, right? What's the Kodak moment? Kodak developed the digital camera, had the patent on it, buried it because they had the infrastructure, they had the equipment, they had the people, they had the processes for printed pictures, right? Well, guess what? Are there still printed pictures today? Yeah, there are, but it's not what it looked like, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. So really, you just have to have a growth mindset. If you have a fixed mindset in this industry, it's moving too fast. You're going to get steamrolled over. So if you are totally like, I've been screen printing for 15 years, right? I like screen printing, but I'm not so hard-headed that it's like, no, I have to grow from 2 to 3 to 5 to 10 autos, and that's my business model, and that's what I'm doing, and I'm going to force the market to bend to me. Well, guess what? That's a losing proposition. So just having that growth mindset is going to really, that's one of the cool things about our industry. Matt and I talk to people, every week. It's just like, they're hungry. They want to learn. We want to learn, what's new. And, there's going to be something new. One of the things we love about the space that Decoflo is in with these software solutions is like, there's going to be something new next year, 5 years from now, right? What we're talking about now is probably going to be like, oh man, you get like you can't believe you guys used to do it that way. And that's fine. That's cool. Like we will iterate. We're okay doing versions 2.0, 4.0, 700.0, right? We're looking forward to that, and we fully embrace that. We're really excited for what the future is going to bring to this industry.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you both have said. And just to kind of talk about the people who are so invested in learning, at DTF Expo, I was talking to Jay Bussell, and I was like, because I was running the education center sessions both days, and some of the sessions had standing room only, and people were like, I am seated these next 2 days ready to learn. And Jay calls it his hungry hundreds. And it's like, you can have a trade show floor packed, whatever, happy hours, cool. But it's the people who are invested in education and learning and sitting there and saying, yes, I want to learn everything that you can give me to grow my business. That is so important. And just to let everyone know, Stephen Farrig was an educational session speaker at DTF Expo, and he has a shop profile on dtfprinting.com where you can learn all about Campus Ink and everything he's doing in the DTF space and beyond. So be sure to check that out. And Matt, do you want to share about Screen Print GPT? Very curious about everything that's going on there, why you started it, how it works.
Yeah, happy to share. So kind of like you mentioned earlier, kind of try to have my hands in a couple different pots. Just call it ADD. I don't know what you want to call it. I'm sure Tyler's got some names. But kind of like I talked about earlier, like I've had people for years telling me like, dude, you should be on those Facebook forums. Like you can really help with a lot of people, right? And I would try here and there, but I would just get so just distracted by the hate and the negativity. And so like it just kept resonating with me. And I'd been following ChatGPT as it kind of initially came out. Big fan of technology, had recently helped start a software company. And so it was like, let's really lean into this. This being the software company, had gotten into like really learning APIs and how API connections can work, and then building automations with Zapier or automations.io or true API builds. And so when AI started to come out, like I grew up a bit of a sci-fi nerd and also a horror sci-fi nerd. It's like I am terrified of all this, by the way, but I'm going to lean into it, right? So looking at the opportunity, I started to use ChatGPT out of the gate, like using it for all its very basic stuff. Then Midjourney came out, started using it for art creation, started making t-shirt designs, wowing customers and like getting contract jobs and like all based off of the art. Like, oh my God, like this is capable of a lot. And so I was already really, really playing with it. And then they announced in, I want to say like November, they announced that they were opening up custom GPTs. So the ability for you to actually put in training information into your own segmented GPT. And so I'm a nerd, so I was watching the live stream of like the big OpenAI day. It was like, oh my God. And then like jumped right in and immediately started training a custom GPT. I've been in this industry for a long time. I've been screen printing since I was like 13, something like that. Run a few larger shops, 8 Auto Plus, been a consultant, been in over 700 shops. So the amount of data that I already have, the amount of training materials I've either created or collected, like all these different things, I was able to then spend. And a lot of time I did spend, my wife was like, you okay? I was like downstairs, like drinking soda, like, I'm fine, babe. Like it was like every hacker movie. It's like the dude at the computer. I was just like so excited to be doing something with technology, and fed it everything that I had and then started testing it and then feeding it again, testing it, and having conversations with the back end where I can like speak to it about how it's going to speak to people, and then give it more data, see how it analyzes that data, figure out new ways to like augment that data to give it more. And dozens of hours, 40, 50, 60 hours within 2 weeks of just me like getting so entrenched into it, while also having full-time jobs. The print shop and Decoflo might have like not seen me for those weeks. But still getting into there. And then all of a sudden I was like, it's working. I sent it to my buddy, Ryan Kasperian, who's a known industry guru, right? And he was like, I'll give it a shot. And he responded with like, shit, it's giving the answer I'd give, but better. And I was like, that's kind of the idea, right? And so I sent it to some other people and it was working. The problem is that you had to be on GPT Plus, which is $20 a month to be able to use the custom GPTs. And so I actually had dinner with Dylan from Shirt Show and then Peter Walsh from M&R. I'm here in Chicago, M&R's in Chicago. And so Dylan was in town. I was like, yo, come have dinner. So we're eating dinner, and I just kind of have like an aha moment of, and Stephen Farrig actually had told me in the past, he had tested it out too. He's like, dude, you got to charge for this. This is amazing. And I just could leave it to Stephen to find a way to monetize something. He's the best at that. And he wasn't necessarily wrong, but I couldn't justify it. I'm like, I can't charge people enough to pay it. No, right? If I went and made it where like it'd be a pay thing, I'd pay like 15, 20 bucks to use it. They could just go use ChatGPT then. So sitting with one of the higher ups at M&R, I kind of realized like, wait a second, they got a bunch of money, right? And so just had that kind of epiphany moment. And I immediately just pitched Peter Walsh right then. And he was like, yeah, we'll back it. And I was like, but no bias. And I'm also going to have Rock possibly back it. And they were like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And so I then just kind of was like, wait a second, I think I've got it here. Went back to ChatGPT, had it work, spent hours and hours working with it to create a pitch deck, right? Where I actually built the business model, built the business plan, created the pitch deck, created the value structure, created all the parts using AI, right? It wasn't like I like hit 3 buttons and like, boom, done. It was still a lot of work, but compounding my one me to have virtual smarter me's to work on this section and this section and this section and this section to get what would have taken a team of people smarter than me weeks to get done, I'm able to do in a couple of days with an hour here, hour there, hour here, hour there, right? So then made this proposal and pitched it out to probably about 20 different companies, right? And I was lucky enough to have 9 come back and say, yeah, we'll back this. They're all paying for the backing. They paid 4 months up front to help me get the technology in. And I couldn't have done it without them, right? Luckily, it was really cool to be able to have my other company, Decoflo, be able to be one of those sponsors too, which again, showing that we're very much interested in helping the industry. My day job also helped back it. Rock, M&R, like Howard, Supacolor, like a bunch of guys, like competitors that saw the value in, again, creating a safe space to get information. So what it is at its core is it is exactly that. It is a hyper-trained screen print, and it's got embroidery in there now. It's got some DTF in there. I'm working to make it smarter and all these things. But it's a safe place that you can sign up for free. You do have to answer some questions about your print shop. That data is how I was able to get those sponsors to say, yeah, we'll pay for this, because it helps them to know how many shops have 3 autos, have 4 autos. Do you use EasyWay products? Do you use Chromaline products, like all that stuff, right? So it's upfront about what you're giving them in exchange for them paying for you to have instant access to any question you could have in the screen printing place, right? And the answers are very, very, very spot on. And I've actually already added a couple other tools in there. One of them Decoflo made, where it's an embroidery a calculator, helps you figure out your stitch count based off dimensions and coverage. Also helps you figure out how long a job should take, right? We're going to continue to add more tools into the platform. Again, free to use. It's not going to cost you money. The money's on the backs of those big manufacturers who see the value in helping you, and of course, a little bit of data they get back. So that's going to keep growing and hopefully keep being a safe pillar in the industry of unbiased information. I am working with the sponsors to actually make kind of biased versions where, like, if you go to like a certain manufacturer's page, you can ask about its products, right? So in a perfect world, I want you, if you have a rock press, go in there, what's wrong with your rock press, and actually give you information on how to fix it, who to call, all that kind of stuff. I've already got some of that for a couple, like EasyWay, for example. They're beta testing theirs now, where you can ask it questions, tells you what product to use, how to use it, all that fun stuff. So continuing to leverage AI to get you answers right now without having to go to what I feel is a cesspool on Facebook.
That's amazing, Matt. Thank you for explaining that. And I didn't really know the back end of a lot of that. So really fascinating to learn. Can a DTF printer use it? Will there be advancements in the next few months?
Yes, you definitely can.
Okay.
I've already put in a lot of information on DTF, hoping to partner up with some more industry experts that can help provide me more information to help make it more robust as well. And then looking at some of the sponsors, I would definitely want to have like their specific products and like information how to use them. And then of course the general one, the general screen print GPT, it's not going to have a bias. It's not going to tell you who to use or any of that kind of stuff. It's going to give just answers specifically to the process, not like favoring a product one way or the other. But it's already got a lot of information about DTF on there, and it's going to, even though it's called Screen Print GPT, It's really decorated apparel GPT is really what the overall idea is there. So yep, you can use it for DTF, DTG, embroidery, screen printing. Cool thing is I can't actually see who is asking what to the AI. You're safe there. However, I can see the chat logs. I can't tell who it is having the chat. So unless you write your name in the chat, I have no idea who it is. And it actually pings me when it has a hard time with an answer. It'll give its best, leveraging GPT 4.0. So I'm paying a lot of money for a lot of API and GPT in the back end, all that stuff. The sponsors paid for that bill, right? And so it's doing a very good job, but it actually pings me and keeps track of that. So every day I can go see if it had any questions that it had a hard time with, and I can then go look up that information and help train it on that to make sure it gets a better response next time. And the cool thing is it gets smarter. So the first couple of weeks I'd have like 2 or 3 a day. I have like 1 a week, and the answer it tries to give, it's like, is this right? I'm like, that you nailed it. Like no fix needed. So it will continue to get smarter the more it also gets used. And I can see it. People are using it in French. They're using it in Spanish. You can go and use it in your native language out of the gate, and it's going to answer you in your native language out of the gate.
Incredible. I'm so excited about this. Of course, it scares me too. Just, the rapid growth of AI and technology as a journalist. However, I can totally call something out if I know that that was just a ChatGPT response. For now, I can. But yeah, it's so cool. Again, everyone, free. So take advantage. Okay, before we go, we talked about a lot, learned a lot. Is there anything else that you'd like to share about DTF, about Stream? Matt, Tyler?
Just be open-minded about it. Like if you're, weary about DTFs, still sign up for Stream. Check it out. You don't have to push any orders through it, but sign up. Say, there might be a case a day where you're like, this is a safe job. I'm going to, I'll do this for my own company shirts, right? Test it out that way. Be skeptical about it. We want, again, this has been a build for the last 5 or 6 years. So we're excited about this. We're confident on it. And like I've said many times throughout this podcast, like we're laser focused on adding a stupid amount of value. If it's not adding a stupid amount of value, we're not even touching it. So we are excited about the value add that Stream's going to bring to the industry.
Yeah, and to echo that, I think just overall, and you kind of said it too, Adrian, just about being open-minded to learn. The world is changing so quickly that if you stop listening and learning, you will be outdated quickly. It's like iPhones. Every other year, you're like, gotta upgrade. You need to also upgrade your way of thinking and your processes as frequently as you're upgrading your iPhone, right? So the more things change, the more you see people adapting around you and you're not adapting, that's a choice you're making, right? So yes, be open to Stream and other Decoflo products. Be open to whatever it is that you're currently having hesitancy on, and take small steps. Don't stay in one place. Take small steps of whatever it is, and really, really, really lean into the community. Reach out to Adrian, reach out to me, reach out to Tyler, reach out to the people you look up to, and have the real conversations. When people hit me up on Instagram and there's like, hey, sorry, I know you're busy, just kind of wanted to ask this question, I get elated. I'm like, hell yeah. Also use Screen Print GPT. But I'm still always stoked to like respond and like interact with them and then bounce ideas. Because like I said, you never know who you know and where you could go with them in the future. So really work with each other. Let's all help make this industry better. We know that Stream and Decoflo will also be a part of helping this industry better. And we really hope that everyone listening and watching can kind of join in this journey with us. Let us know how else we can be of service to you. And let's go make this place better. For sure. Yeah. Fixed mindset out the door. We got to work on that growth mindset, networking, asking questions. That's the way that you're not only going to grow, but the entire industry will grow. So thank you both for everything that you're doing for DTF and for the apparel industry. And thank you for joining the DTF Printing Podcast. Yeah, thanks for having us. A lot of fun. Thank you. Sweet. All right. Well, we'll catch you on the next episode of the DTF Printing Podcast.
In the meantime, head to dtfprinting.com to discover new ways to grow your DTF print business. Thanks for listening.